The combined fleet that assembled at the edge of Devourer space was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships from dozens of species flew together under human tactical command, each bringing their unique technologies to the fight against extinction. Captain Do Yoon, now promoted to Commodore, stood on the bridge of the Soul's Vengeance watching the massive formation on his screens. Karathi crystal ships provided energy shields that shimmered like rainbows. Nexari vessels flowed like liquid metal, constantly changing shape to optimize their performance. Even some Villani had joined the fleet, their crystalline ships singing harmonies that could shatter bioship armor. I never imagined I'd see something like this, Communication Officer Jiwon said in wonder. All these different species working together. Fear can bring people together, Dr. Minji observed. But so can hope. We've given them something they haven't had in centuries. The belief that they can fight back and win. The intelligence gathered from captured Devourer systems had revealed the location of their core breeding worlds. These massive biostations were hidden in dead star systems, using the energy from dying suns to grow new ships and creatures. Admiral Tejo, coordinating the assault from Earth, had designated them as primary targets. Destroy the breeding worlds and we stop the threat at its source, he had explained to the fleet commanders. Let even one survive, and the Devourers can rebuild their forces within decades. But the enemy wasn't going to let them reach the breeding worlds easily. Intelligence reports showed that the Devourers were massing their remaining fleets for a final defense. Worse, they had deployed their ultimate weapons, planet-killer bioships the size of moons. They're not just trying to stop us, Tactical Officer Hyuna reported, studying the sensor data. They're targeting civilian populations across the galaxy. If we attack their breeding worlds, they'll destroy inhabited planets in retaliation. Admiral Minho faced an impossible choice: attack the breeding worlds and save the galaxy's future, but condemn billions of innocents to immediate death, or protect the populated worlds and allow the Devourers to continue their slow genocide for another 1,000 years. There has to be another way, he said, staring at the tactical displays. Engineer Jinwoo had been working on a desperate solution. What if we split our forces, use fast ships to evacuate the threatened populations while the main fleet attacks the breeding worlds? The planet killers move too fast, Hyuna replied. We can't evacuate entire civilizations in time. Dr. Minji, still connected to the Villani telepathic network, suddenly straightened with excitement. Wait, I'm getting reports from across the galaxy. The alien species aren't just sitting and waiting to be rescued. They're fighting back. The main screen filled with incredible images. On dozens of worlds, alien civilizations that had hidden in fear for centuries were emerging to attack Devourer ground forces. The Karathi were using their shield technology to protect evacuation sites. The Nexari had formed their liquid bodies into weapons that could slice through bioship armor. Even primitive species were joining the fight with whatever weapons they could find. It's a galaxy-wide uprising, Jiwon said in amazement. Everyone is fighting at once. That's our answer, Admiral Minho realized. We don't have to choose between attacking and defending. The galaxy is defending itself while we attack. The assault on the Devourer breeding worlds began with humanity's most devastating weapons. Engineer Jinwoo had developed the Prometheus Protocol, antimatter charges designed to sterilize entire biostations. But as the fleet moved deeper into enemy territory, they discovered that the breeding worlds were more than just weapons factories. These aren't just military installations, Dr. Minji reported from her analysis of long-range scans. They're preserves. The Devourers have been keeping samples of every species they've consumed. Commander Yoonji led boarding teams onto the smaller biostations to confirm the discovery. What they found was both horrifying and hopeful. Massive storage chambers contained genetic material, cultural artifacts, and even living specimens from hundreds of extinct civilizations. It's like a museum of genocide, she reported, her voice filled with disgust and wonder, but also a chance for resurrection. If we can capture these facilities instead of destroying them, we might be able to bring back extinct species. The discovery changed everything. Instead of simple destruction, the mission became a race to capture the breeding worlds before the Devourers could destroy the preserved life forms they contained. New plan, Commodore Do-hyun announced to the fleet. We disable the biostations and capture them intact. Every species they've murdered deserves a chance to live again. The battle for the breeding worlds was the largest space combat in galactic history. Devourer bioships fought with desperate fury, knowing that defeat meant the end of their 1,000-year reign of terror. But the combined fleet had advantages that no single species could have provided. Karathi shields protected human assault ships as they closed with enemy vessels. Nexari quantum computers predicted Devourer movements with perfect accuracy. Villani harmonic weapons disrupted bioship regeneration, and human tactics coordinated everything into a devastating whole. "It's beautiful," Tactical Officer Huna said, watching the battle unfold. Every species contributing their strengths to cover others' weaknesses. But the Devourers had one last surprise. As the human forces closed in on the primary breeding world, it began to transform. The massive biostation, easily the size of a small planet, revealed itself to be a single enormous creature. "That's not a space station," Engineer Jinwoo said in shock. "That's the original Devourer. The first one ever created. Everything else came from this mother creature. The original Devourer was ancient beyond imagination and powerful beyond measure. It began spawning new bioships even as the fleet attacked, creating defenders faster than they could be destroyed. We can't win a straight fight," Admiral Minho realized. "That thing can replace its forces indefinitely." Dr. Minji, still connected to the captured Devourer data systems, made a crucial discovery. The mother creature isn't just spawning defenders. It's trying to send out seed pods to other galaxies. If even one escapes, the cycle will start over somewhere else. "Not on my watch," Commodore Dohyun said grimly. "All ships priority target those seed pods. We don't let a single one escape." The battle became a race against time. Human ships and their alien allies hunted down seed pods while fighting off endless waves of newly spawned bioships. Medixori coordinated rescue operations to save the preserved life forms before they could be destroyed in the fighting. "Thousands of species," she reported, tears in her eyes. "Some have been extinct for centuries, but their genetic patterns are still intact. We can bring them back. We can undo 1,000 years of genocide." Elder Yuna of the Villani provided the key to victory. Working with Dr. Minji, she developed a harmonic frequency that could disrupt the mother creature's reproductive systems. "If we can sing the right song," she explained telepathically, "we can stop it from creating new life. Make it face its own mortality for the first time." The combined Villani and human forces began broadcasting the harmonic frequency throughout the system. The effect on the mother creature was immediate and terrifying. For the first time in its existence, it began to feel fear and pain. "It's working," Dr. Minji reported. "The creature is destabilizing, but it's also getting more desperate." The mother Devourer began using its massive body as a weapon, trying to physically ram human ships. But Commodore Dohyun was ready for that too. Using hit-and-run tactics on a massive scale, he led the creature into a trap. "All ships, fall back to position 7, he ordered. "Let it follow us into the gravity well." The ancient creature, driven mad by pain and fear, chased the human fleet directly toward the system's dying star. The gravity pulled it in, and the star's radiation began burning through its bioarmor. "Target its core," Dohyun commanded. "End this nightmare forever." The combined fleet concentrated all their weapons on the mother creature's heart. Harmonic weapons, antimatter charges, and pure human rage tore through layers of biological armor. The creature that had spawned 1,000 years of galactic terror finally died, taking its evil legacy with it. As the monster's death screams echoed across space, something unexpected happened. All across the galaxy, the remaining Devourers suddenly stopped fighting. The smaller creatures, cut off from their mother's control, began reverting to their original forms. "The preserved genetic data," Dr. Minji said in wonder. The mother creature wasn't just storing other species. It was storing its own original form. These creatures were once peaceful before they were bioengineered into weapons. The galaxy had been freed, not just from the threat of extinction, but from a cycle of violence that had lasted for centuries, and at the center of that freedom stood humanity. The species that had answered a desperate call for help and refused to stop fighting until justice was done. News of humanity's war against the Devourers spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Other alien civilizations, hiding in fear for centuries, began picking up the radio broadcast from the battle zone. For the first time in 1,000 years, someone was fighting back against the genocidal bioships and winning. Admiral Minho stood on the bridge of the Busan's Fury, watching tactical displays that showed the complete destruction of another Devourer fleet. His human ships moved through space like hunters, systematically destroying every bioship they found. Sir, his communication officer reported, we're receiving signals from 17 different star systems. Other alien species are trying to contact us. Put them through, Minho ordered. The main screen filled with a collection of alien faces unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Some looked like giant insects. Others resembled living trees, and a few appeared to be made of pure energy. But they all had the same expression, desperate hope. Are you really destroying the Devourers? Asked a creature that looked like a walking crystal formation. We are the Karathi. Our worlds have hidden in darkness for 300 years, afraid to emit any signals that might attract them. We are the Nexari, said a being made of flowing liquid metal. The Devourers consumed half our population before we learned to hide in the deep ocean. We thought we would live in fear forever. Admiral Minho felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Humanity had accidentally become the galaxy's hope for freedom. This is Admiral Minho of Earth's Defense Fleet. Yes, we are destroying the Devourers, and we're going to keep destroying them until none are left. Dr. Minji worked with the new alien contacts, learning about the scope of the Devourer threat. The bioships had terrorized the galaxy for over a millennium, consuming entire civilizations and leaving dead worlds behind. Hundreds of species lived in constant fear, unable to develop or explore because any sign of activity might attract the hunters. It's worse than we thought, she reported to the fleet commanders. The Devourers haven't just killed civilizations. They've stunted the development of the entire galaxy. Advanced species hide like mice, afraid to build anything that might be noticed. Captain Do-hyun studied the reports while planning his next attack. The Soul's vengeance had become the flagship of humanity's aggressive tactics, leading boarding actions against bioships that other vessels softened up with long-range weapons. We need to think bigger, he told his crew. The Devourers have spent 1,000 years learning to hunt civilizations, but they've never learned to fight a war. They don't understand tactics, strategy, or coordinated assault. Engineer Jinwoo had been working on new applications for Villani harmonic technology. I've figured out how to tune our weapons to specific bioship frequencies. Each creature has its own harmonic signature. We can make bullets that are designed to kill individual targets. How individual? Tactical Officer Huna asked. Individual enough to target specific organs inside a bioship. Heart, brain, digestive systems. We can perform surgery with explosives. Admiral Minho implemented what he called the Death World Doctrine. Earth was a dangerous planet where life had evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most alien species. Humans could fight in extreme heat, cold, radiation, and toxic environments that paralyzed their enemies. The Devourers evolved in sterile environments, Dr. Minji explained to the fleet. They've never developed resistance to things we consider normal. Fire, poison gases, extreme temperatures. We can turn any environment into a battleground where we have the advantage. Commander Yoonji proved this point when she led the first successful boarding action against a Devourer mothership. Her Marines wore environmental suits that allowed them to survive in the bioship's toxic atmosphere while pumping the corridors full of Earth chemicals that burned the aliens from the inside. It's like fighting in an alien's stomach, she reported as her team moved through the ship's living corridors. The walls try to digest us, but our suits are made from materials they can't process. Meanwhile, our flamethrowers are cooking them alive. The Devourers had never encountered weapons like fire, explosives, and toxic chemicals. Their bioships were designed to absorb energy weapons and regenerate from physical damage. But they had no defense against humanity's primitive but effective tools. They keep trying to adapt to our weapons, Engineer Jinwoo observed, but we keep changing our approach. Every time they develop resistance to our missiles, we switch to different explosives. When they counter our energy weapons, we use kinetic rounds. The psychological effect on the Devourers was just as important as the physical damage. For the first time in their existence, they were experiencing fear. Bioships that had once attacked anything they found were now avoiding human vessels entirely. Look at their movement patterns, Yuna said, studying the tactical display. They're running from us. Apex predators don't run from their prey. Medic Sori continued working with refugees from dozens of species that the humans had rescued from Devourer bioships. Each rescue revealed more horrors about what the aliens had been doing to their victims. They don't just kill, she reported to Admiral Minho. They keep some members of each species alive for study, learning their biology, their culture, their weaknesses. They've been building a database of every intelligent species in the galaxy. For what purpose? Minho asked. Unknown. But they have detailed information about hundreds of civilizations, including several that we haven't made contact with yet. The breakthrough came when Commander Yunji's boarding team captured a Devourer control node intact. Dr. Minji connected to the alien system using Villani telepathic interfaces, downloading massive amounts of data directly into human computers. "This is incredible," she said, her eyes wide as she processed the information. "The Devourers aren't just random killers. They're following a pattern, a plan. They systematically target the most advanced civilizations first, then work their way down to primitive species." "Why?" Captain Dohyun asked. "Because they're not the original creators. They're a weapon system, designed by someone else to clear the galaxy of intelligent life. The question is, who made them and why?" The data revealed the locations of dozens of Devourer breeding worlds, massive biostations where new ships were grown and launched toward target systems. Admiral Minho realized that destroying the fleets they had encountered was just the beginning. "We're not fighting an invasion," he announced to the combined human and alien forces. "We're fighting an extermination protocol that's been running for over 1,000 years. To stop it permanently, we need to destroy the source." The alien species that had joined humanity's cause brought their own unique capabilities to the fight. The Karathi provided advanced shield technology that could protect ships from bioweapon attacks. The Nexari contributed quantum computing systems that helped predict Devourer movements. Even the peaceful Villani developed combat applications for their harmonic technology. "For the first time in centuries, we have hope," Elder Yuna told the assembled fleet commanders. "Your species has shown us that predators can be prey, that the strong can protect the weak." But the Devourers weren't finished. Intelligence reports indicated that they were preparing to deploy their ultimate weapons, planet-killer bioships capable of consuming entire worlds in a matter of hours. "They're changing their strategy," Dr. Minji warned. "Instead of trying to fight us ship to ship, they're going to target populated worlds directly. Force us to choose between protecting innocents and hunting their fleets." Admiral Minho studied the star charts, marking the locations of vulnerable civilizations across the galaxy. There were too many to protect with conventional tactics. "Then we change our strategy too," he decided. "We're going to take this war to their home territory. Find these breeding worlds and destroy them before they can launch their planet killers." Captain Dohyun volunteered to lead the deep strike mission. "The Soul's Vengeance has the most experience fighting these things. We'll go in first and mark targets for the main fleet." As the human ships prepared for the most dangerous mission in their species' history, signals continued to arrive from across the galaxy. More alien civilizations were coming out of hiding, offering to join the fight against their ancient tormentors. Humanity had answered one desperate alien SOS call, and in doing so, had awakened the entire galaxy to the possibility of freedom. The war was far from over, but for the first time in a millennium the prey had become the hunters. The Soul's Vengeance danced through space like a deadly ballet dancer. Captain Dohyun pushed his ship hard, using hit-and-run tactics against the massive bioships. The Devourers were huge and powerful, but they were also slow and predictable. "Fire missiles at the feeding appendages," Tactical Officer Huna called out. "Target their weak spots." The human weapons tore into the alien bioship, causing it to writhe in pain. Green blood leaked into space as the creature tried to heal its wounds. But every time it began to recover, the Soul's Vengeance struck again from a different angle. "They're not used to this," Engineer Jinwoo observed, watching the enemy's confused movements. "They expect their prey to either run away or stand still and die. They don't know how to fight someone who fights back smart." Dr. Minji was still connected telepathically to Elder Yuna, learning everything she could about the Devourers. "The Villani say these creatures have conquered 47 different species over the last 1,000 years. Every single civilization either surrendered immediately or was destroyed within days. Well, they've never met humans before," Dohyun said grimly. Back on Earth, the news of alien contact and the ongoing genocide spread like wildfire. Admiral Taiho stood in the command center, watching reports flood in from across the planet. Humanity was angry, and when humans got angry, they got organized. "Sir?" Communication Officer Jiwan's voice crackled through the hyperspace transmitter. "We need immediate reinforcements. The situation here is worse than we thought. Entire star systems have been consumed. Admiral Tejo looked at the star charts showing Earth's military assets. "How many ships can we send?" "Every single one we have," replied Admiral Minho, the commander of Earth's deep space fleet. The people are demanding action. When they saw the footage of the burning Villani worlds, recruitment stations had lines around the block. Within hours, Earth's greatest military mobilization in history was underway. Factory workers started triple shifts to build weapons and ships. Scientists worked around the clock to understand alien technology. Even civilians volunteered for dangerous support missions. Dr. Minji's reports from the front lines helped enormously. Working with Villani survivors, she learned that the Devourers had several weaknesses. Their bioships could regenerate damage, but not if the wounds were made with specific frequencies that disrupted their cellular structure. The Villani use harmonic resonance for everything, Minji explained in her transmission to Earth. Their crystals can create vibrations that interfere with biological processes. "We can use this." Engineer Jinwoo had already started modifying human weapons. He combined Earth's explosive technology with Villani harmonic crystals, creating new weapons that could tear apart bioships at the molecular level. "It's beautiful," he said, testing the new resonance missiles. "The crystals make the explosions sing and the song kills the aliens." But the Devourers weren't giving up easily. They sent a massive communication pulse toward the Soul's Vengeance, trying to establish contact. The message came through their computers in broken English. "Small meat things. You fight when you should submit. Join the consumption. Become part of the greater hunger. We offer you place in the feeding hierarchy." Captain Do-hyun read the message and felt disgusted. These creatures thought of every living thing as food. They couldn't understand the concept of protecting others. "Computer, open all communication channels," he ordered. His response was broadcast across the entire star system, and relay stations sent it toward Earth and beyond. "This is Captain Do-hyun of humanity. We don't negotiate with genocidal monsters. You want to consume entire species? Then try to consume us. We'll show you what happens when predators meet apex predators." The Devourers sent more bioships toward the human vessel, but Do-hyun was ready for them. Using tactics learned from Earth's military history, he used the system's asteroid field as cover. The Soul's Vengeance hid among the rocks, striking fast and disappearing before the aliens could respond. "It's like fighting sharks with sniper rifles," Huna said with satisfaction as another bioship exploded. "They're built for overwhelming weak prey, not for tactical combat." Meanwhile, Medic Sori was working with Villani refugees who had been rescued from the dying worlds. The crystalline beings were amazed by human medicine and determination. "Your species is remarkable," Elder Yuna told her through telepathy. "You heal both bodies and souls. We had given up hope, but your people burn with such fierce life. It reminds us that existence is worth fighting for." 3 weeks into the battle, Earth's reinforcements finally arrived. Admiral Minho led a fleet of 20 warships, including the massive dreadnought Busan's Fury. When the Devourers saw the new human ships dropping out of hyperspace, their bioships actually retreated for the first time in their recorded history. "This is Admiral Minho to all human vessels." His voice boomed across the communication channels. "We've come to teach these aliens what happens when they threaten innocent people. Show them the fury of Earth." The expanded human fleet transformed the battle completely. Instead of one ship running hit-and-run attacks, the Devourers now faced coordinated assaults from multiple directions. Human commanders used complex battle formations that the aliens couldn't predict or counter. "They're learning to fear us," Tactical Officer Huna reported with grim satisfaction. "Their attack patterns are becoming defensive. They're actually trying to retreat, but the humans weren't letting them escape. Every bioship that tried to flee was hunted down and destroyed." Captain Do-hyun's voice echoed across the fleet channels. "No mercy for genocidal killers. Every ship we let escape will murder billions of innocents elsewhere." Dr. Minji made another crucial discovery while studying captured Devourer technology. "These creatures aren't natural," she announced to the fleet. "They're artificial. Someone created them, bioengineered them to be the perfect consumption machines." "Who would create something like this?" Admiral Minho asked. "Unknown. But whoever did it made a mistake. They designed the Devourers to overwhelm peaceful civilizations and primitive species. They never expected them to encounter a species from a world as dangerous as Earth." The battle raged for another week before the humans achieved their first major victory. Working together, 3 human destroyers managed to kill an entire bioship the size of a space station. As the massive creature died, it released thousands of smaller organisms that had been stored in its body. "Look at this," Engineer Jinwoo said, studying the scan results. It had absorbed life forms from dozens of different species. Plants, animals, maybe even sentient beings. It was carrying an entire ecosystem inside its body. Medic Sori felt sick. It wasn't just killing these species. It was collecting them, like some kind of twisted museum of extinction. The discovery filled the human crews with even more determination. They weren't just fighting to save the Vellani anymore. They were fighting to avenge dozens of extinct civilizations and prevent the deaths of countless more. As news of the victories reached Earth, humanity's war machine reached full power. New fleets launched every day, carrying improved weapons and fresh crews eager to join the fight. The planet that had once worried about revealing itself to aliens was now preparing to become the galaxy's protector. The Devourers made one critical error. Admiral Tejo said in his speech to the United Nations. They tried to intimidate a species that evolved on a death world. They tried to threaten creatures that had survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and 10,000 years of warfare against each other. They picked the wrong fight with the wrong species. The Soul's Vengeance received new orders from Earth. Hunt down every Devourer bioship in the system and destroy them all. No prisoners, no negotiations, no mercy. Captain Dohyun smiled as he read the orders. You heard, Earth crew. Time to finish what we started. The Soul's Vengeance moved slowly through the Kepler 442 system. Captain Dohyun stared at the main screen, trying to understand what he was seeing. Huge alien ships floated among the planets, but they looked wrong somehow. They seemed to be alive. Those aren't normal spaceships, Engineer Jinwoo said, studying his readings. They're biological, like giant animals in space. The bioships were massive, each one the size of a small city. They had no clear shape, just flowing organic curves covered in what looked like skin. Smaller creatures moved around them like insects around a nest. Look at the planets, Medic Sori whispered. The worlds below were dying. Whole continents burned with fires that could be seen from space. The bioships hung over each planet like vultures, sending down streams of smaller creatures that covered the surface like a disease. My God, Communication Officer Ji-won breathed. What are they doing to those worlds? They're eating them, Tactical Officer Huna said, her voice cold with anger. The bioships are consuming everything on those planets. The land, the oceans, the life, everything. Suddenly, a new voice filled the bridge. It wasn't heard through their ears, but felt directly in their minds. The voice was beautiful, like music made of crystal and light. Please, are you here to help us? Dr. Minji grabbed her head as the telepathic voice spoke to her. Someone is trying to communicate. I can feel them in my mind. Can you talk back? Do-hyun asked. Minji closed her eyes and concentrated. I think so, yes. I can hear you. We received your message. We came to help. The voice in their minds grew stronger, filled with desperate hope. I am Elder Yuna of the Vellani Council. We sent the call for aid into the dark between stars, not knowing if anyone would hear. You are the first to answer. What happened here? Minji asked through her mind. Images flooded into her consciousness. She saw a beautiful world of crystal cities that sang in harmony with the wind. The Vellani were beings of living crystal, tall and graceful, who had never known war or violence. They communicated through telepathy and harmonic frequencies, creating art and music that could touch the soul. Then the Devourers came. The bioships appeared without warning, bringing death and consumption. The Vellani had no weapons, no armies, no way to fight back. They were a peaceful people, who had never needed to hurt anyone. In just weeks, their entire civilization was being eaten alive. We tried to hide. Elder Yuna's voice was filled with pain. We went underground, into deep caves where our ancestors once meditated. But they found us anyway. The Devourers can smell life itself. They consume not just our bodies, but our very essence. How many of you are left? Minji asked. Perhaps 10,000 scattered in hidden places across 3 worlds. Once we were billions. Captain Dohyun felt sick as he understood what they were seeing. This wasn't just an invasion or a war. This was genocide on a scale beyond imagination. An entire species was being wiped out by creatures that existed only to consume. Incoming signal, Ji-won announced. Something big is heading our way. On the screen, one of the bioships had noticed the Soul's Vengeance. It was moving toward them, sending out smaller scout creatures to investigate the unknown vessel. They want to see what we are, Hyuna said, reading the tactical display. The scouts are scanning us. The lead scout was the size of a fighter jet, but it moved like a living thing. It had no visible engines, just wings of flesh that beat against the vacuum of space. As it got closer, they could see eyes along its surface, all focused on their ship. "They don't recognize us," Engineer Jinwoo said, studying the scan data. "Our technology is completely different from anything they've seen before." "Are they hostile?" Do-hyun asked. "Unknown. They seem more curious than aggressive right now." The scout creature moved closer, its multiple eyes studying the soul's vengeance. It began sending signals toward the bioship, probably reporting what it found. In their minds, Elder Yuna's voice grew urgent. "You must leave. If the Devourers discover you, they will consume your people too. They have destroyed dozens of species across the galaxy. No one can stand against them." "We didn't come here to run away," Do-hyun said firmly. The scout creature suddenly changed its behavior. Instead of just watching, it began to move aggressively toward their ship. Behind it, the massive bioship was turning in their direction. "Captain," Hyuna said, "I think they've decided we're food." "All weapons online," Do-hyun ordered. "Target that scout." "Sir, are you sure?" Ji-won asked. "This will be humanity's first contact with an alien species." Do-hyun looked at the burning planets on the screen, thinking of the billions of innocent Villani who had been murdered. "Then let's make sure it sends the right message." The soul's vengeance fired every weapon it had at the scout creature. Missiles, lasers, and railgun rounds tore through space. The alien scout, expecting either submission or weak resistance, was completely unprepared for such an aggressive response. The creature exploded in a burst of biological matter and strange fluids. Its death scream echoed through space as an electromagnetic pulse that made all the bioships in the system turn toward the human vessel. "Message sent," Hyuna said with grim satisfaction. Do-hyun activated the ship's communication system and broadcast on all frequencies. His voice was cold and hard as steel. "This is Captain Do-hyun of the human vessel Soul's Vengeance. You have committed genocide against innocent people. This ends now." The response came quickly, not in words, but as a feeling pushed into their minds. It was alien and terrible, filled with hunger and the certainty of dominance. The Devourers were trying to make the humans submit through fear. Instead, it just made them angry. "They're trying to intimidate us," Dr. Minji said, fighting off the mental attack. "They expect us to surrender." "They clearly don't know humans very well," Medic Sori said through gritted teeth. The nearest bioship began moving toward them, sending out dozens of scout creatures. It was easily 100 times larger than the Soul's Vengeance, a mountain of living flesh that had consumed entire worlds. "All power to weapons and shields," Do-hyun ordered. "Show them what happens when they threaten innocence." As the human ship prepared for battle, Elder Yuna's voice whispered in their minds. For the first time since the Devourers arrived, there was hope in her telepathic words. "I have never felt minds like yours before. You are not afraid. You are angry, perhaps. Perhaps there is still hope for my people." The Soul's Vengeance charged toward the bioship, all weapons firing. For the first time in their existence, the Devourers were about to learn what it meant to face a species that fought back with fury instead of fear. In the depths of space, humanity announced its presence to the galaxy, not with words of peace, but with the thunder of weapons defending the innocent. The war for the survival of entire species had begun. Ji-won stared at her computer screen in the quiet communication room of the space station. Numbers and signals filled the display, but something was different today. Hidden in the background noise of space, she found a pattern that made her heart race. The signal was clear and simple. Mathematical sequences that no natural source could make. Someone was trying to talk to them from far away in space. Ji-won's hands shook as she recorded the message and ran it through the translation programs. "Help us. They come to end all." The message repeated over and over, along with coordinates pointing to a star system called Kepler 442. Ji-won had never heard of any aliens before, but this message was real. She was sure of it. She ran down the hallway to find Admiral Taeho. The old man was drinking coffee in his office when Ji-won burst through the door. "Sir, you need to see this," she said, breathing hard. "We got a message from space. From aliens." Taeho looked at her like she was crazy. "Aliens? Are you feeling okay, Ji-won?" "I'm serious. Look at this data." She showed him her computer tablet. The numbers and patterns were too perfect to be natural. "Someone is asking for help." Taeho studied the screen for a long time. His face grew serious as he realized what he was looking at. "Get Dr. Minji up here right now. If this is real, we need to know for sure." Dr. Minji arrived 20 minutes later. She was the best scientist on the station, and if anyone could prove the message was real, it was her. She took one look at the data and her eyes went wide. "This is incredible," Minji whispered. "The quantum encryption is so complex. No human technology could make this. And look at the math patterns. They're teaching us their number system while asking for help." "So it's real?" Taeho asked. "Yes, this is definitely from an alien species, and they're in trouble." The three of them sat in silence for a moment. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer and their new neighbors needed help. "What do we do?" Jiwon asked. Taeho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Earth looked peaceful and blue. "We call Captain Do-hyun. If we're going to meet aliens, we need our best ship and crew." Captain Do-hyun arrived at the station 2 days later with his crew from the warship Seoul's Vengeance. The ship was Earth's most advanced vessel, built for deep space missions that might take months or years. Do-hyun was a tall man with serious eyes. He listened to the alien message 3 times before speaking. "How far is this Kepler 442 system?" "About 40 light years," Minji answered. "With our fastest hyperspace drive, it would take 3 months to get there. And we have no idea what we'll find when we arrive," added Tactical Officer Hyuna. She was Do-hyun's second in command, known for being smart and careful in dangerous situations. Engineer Jinwoo looked worried. "What if it's a trap? What if these aliens are trying to trick us? Then we'll be ready for a fight," Do-hyun said simply. "But if they really need help, we can't just ignore them." The crew spent the next week preparing for the mission. They loaded the Seoul's Vengeance with extra weapons, medical supplies, and food for a long journey. Medic Sori made sure they had everything needed to treat alien injuries, even though no one knew what aliens would look like. Admiral Taeho called a meeting with Earth's leaders to discuss the mission. Many were afraid of revealing humanity's location to unknown aliens. Others worried about starting a war with advanced species. "What if these aliens are more advanced than us?" asked one general. "What if we're walking into something we can't handle?" "What if we're not?" Do-hyun replied. "What if we're the only ones who can help them?" The message said, "They come to end all. Something is trying to kill an entire species. Can we really just sit here and do nothing?" Dr. Minji supported the mission. The mathematics in their message show they're peaceful. They're asking for help, not threatening us, and they shared their location freely. That doesn't sound like an enemy. After hours of debate, the leaders agreed to let the mission go forward, but they gave Do-hyun strict orders. Observe first and only fight if absolutely necessary. On the day of departure, Jiwon stood on the bridge of the Seoul's Vengeance. She had volunteered to come along as the communication expert. If they met aliens, she would be the one to talk to them. "Are you ready for this?" Do-hyun asked her. "As ready as anyone can be for meeting aliens," she replied. The hyperspace jump felt like falling through a tunnel of stars. Reality twisted around them as the ship moved faster than light toward the distant star system. Jiwon watched the stars blur past and wondered what they would find. 3 months in space gave the crew time to think and plan. They studied the alien message over and over, trying to learn more about who sent it. Minji worked on translation programs while Hyuna planned different scenarios for what they might encounter. "What if the aliens look really different from us?" Sori asked one day during dinner. "What if they're so strange we can't even communicate?" "We'll figure it out," Jinwoo said confidently. "Humans are good at adapting." The message was in mathematics, Minji added. "Math is universal. If they can think logically, we can find a way to talk to them." As they got closer to Kepler 442, the crew grew more nervous and excited. They were about to become the first humans to meet an alien species. History would remember this moment forever. "Signal coming in," Jiwon announced as they prepared to drop out of hyperspace. "It's the same message, but much stronger now. Help us." "They come to end all. Whatever's happening to them, it's still happening," Do-hyun said grimly. "All crew prepare for anything. We're going in." The Seoul's Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. What they saw on the main screen made everyone go silent. The system was full of massive alien ships, but something was very wrong. Explosions lit up the space around several planets. Cities were burning on the surface of worlds. Whatever had threatened the aliens was already here. "Captain," Hyuna said quietly, "I think we're too late." But Do-hyun straightened in his chair, his eyes hard with determination. No, the message is still broadcasting. Someone is still alive down there, and we didn't come all this way to give up now. The soul's vengeance moved deeper into the system, toward whatever horror was destroying an entire civilization. Humanity was about to learn that sometimes helping others meant being willing to fight.